Especially when you bump into someone who just say stuff like, I don't believe this or that. Well, you can believe whatever you want, you can even believe the earth is flat. Still, I would take science study any time of the day. Hi guys, it's Mish here. So follow up the last episode of the Chinchilla diet second part, tricks. The Chinchilla counties have many disputes and conflicts, mainly because people listen to different recommendations and sources. Some might be from breeders, some might be read something on the internet, or take advice from diverse opinions. Since the last videos, I got a couple comments that told me to check out these videos on YouTube, and their recommendations, which is including some veggies, dried fruit, raisins. I have watching these videos long before when I did my research. And the first reaction when I saw those sugar diet, I was like, yeah, that three words. You know what? Which three words I want to say. And I found much confusions. I think this is an excellent sample to break down some confusions about chinchilla's tricks. The biggest problem I saw with the chinchilla tricks issue is that people are often too optimistic about their vet recommendations, such as like this one's here.
They do eat little fruits like raisins and things as treats, but you've got to stay away from things like lettuce.
And you might think, yeah, they're vet and have high education, must be right. But have you thought about this recommendation or personal review or paid by product company? And how much knowledge did I have regarding to our furballs?
They're treats. Now, despite the hot debate about what should be given as a treat, we generally agree across the field that less than a tablespoon of treats per day is ideal, and it should make up less than 10% of their total diet. I did extensive research from a lot of reputable sources and found exactly what they recommended for treats. So let's go through those first. First up, we have Laura Smith from Purdue University. She recommends feeding grains, dried fruits, greens, carrots, raisins, and apples. Next, we have Exotic Nutrition, which is a company based out of Virginia. They recommend dried fruit, dried rose hips, dried herbs, and raisins.
Okay, these two recommendations, I don't want to analyze anything or break down anything because it simply lacks information. Who are these people? What are the sources? When it comes to the health of my baby, the first thing necessary to me is referenced. It doesn't matter how many years of education they have or if they were exotic vet, zoologists or biologists or behaviorists. A good article should give reference because these people are not scientists involved with the study of chinchillas. They should give reference, especially highly educated specialists, because they can easily access the study or articles from ResearchGate or Science Direct. A good article should be something like this one here.
Next, we have Avian and Exotic Animal Clinic based out of Arizona. They recommend mint, basil, oregano, romaine, red leaf, carrot tops, and dandelion greens.
Notice the very last of the page that shows several references from scientists and exotic vets that are studied for chinchillas and small rodents. Good reference, but then there's a small problem with this reference. There are tons of veterinarian book summary from exotic vets writing about the different animals and how to treat them. As we have learned from Dr. Kennedy last episode, that guinea pigs, rabbits, mice that are in the same order as rodents, but their digestive system are different. Even vitamin level intakes is different, let alone tricks. So if there were any study on mainly for chinchillas, I would try to look for those. I think it's much more accurate this way. And you might think that, hey, chinchillas are uncommon pests. There are a few specific studies for them. Yes, there are minimum, but at least diet, dental problem, digest issue, and hearing, these you can be sure have a scientific facts, particularly for our furball. Now, I want to give examples here, but I would not name which social medias. But in the future, if I see more of these ridiculous photos or comments, I would not hesitate to put up in my videos for a good samples of what can harm your chinchillas. A person educated their chinchillas fellows in a community that can put a frozen apple in the cage for cooling during the summers, or mix different kinds of pellets, herbs, and grains as a daily diet. The reason was not so boring. When I talked to this person, her explanations was that she believed that the vet advanced in the country and not our European way of raising chinchillas. I'm not so sure if she is using vet as a shield to cover her lack of knowledge, or there is really is such a vast give this scary advice for their clients. But either way, because of this kind of horrific education on the social media, and you wonder why chinchilla trees are so much conflict. That is why we must get accurate information regarding our furballs' health issues. Hence, references are essentials because with this reference, then we can look up who wrote those articles or books, and if these studies are mainly for chinchillas or mix a study with our other rodents. Then we can decide if we want to take this advice seriously.
Chinchillas have incredibly sensitive GI tracts, and one of the most prevalent issues is stomach upset with chinchillas.
We often hear chinchillas have a sensitive stomach, or sugar can cause severe damage to their digestive system on the internet. Still, many people only read the words but hardly know what reality can do if their digestive system screw up. I'm going to show you a photo. Please close your eyes if you can't stomach to look at chinchilla organs. I borrow a photos from Tiffany's chinchillas. 3, 2, 1. This is a healthy chinchilla intestine. Another one is a chinchilla that died with bloat. Here's another studies about chinchilla's effect of acute intestinal inflammations and obstruction caused by an inappropriate diet. So make a sample for you. Drive-thrus veggies, grains belongs to carbohydrates and can turn into sugars. Keep in mind that you might already have a high sugar palate and feed them more sugar treats on the side. You might face some problems with your baby's GI digesting issues in the long run. But hey, many others say that they feed their chins raisins and stuff, but no problem, such as these videos here.
But I know many facilities, breeders, and owners that offer these foods regularly with no repercussions.
The most argument I had over the last 20 years is raisins and nuts. It always starts with some past owners or breeders saying, I fed my chins raisins and nuts that can still live up to 12 years old, no harm them. And you might think it's okay to follow, but the answer to this dispute is not so simple. So last year I discovered we have a few very old age chinchillas in Sweden. I never seen chinchillas more than 15 years old. I was pretty curious about their diet and whether they eat sugary treats. I wanted to know that the difference between these old chinchillas and nowadays show quality chinchillas. So I investigated a little bit. Zeus, 19 years old. These photos was taken when he was 18 years old and have a characteristic. 1 to 2 raisins per day on a special occasions, get some apples, eat hate and different brands palette. That was the time he got seizures, and Louis read that candies bar and sees that might give him issue, and once he should stop giving those tricks, he stopped having seizures. According to our animal behavior specialist Lou Chanet, who took in rescues, often found a high sugar diet that seizures can be caused by diabetes. He passed away after midsummers, and it was very hot for a very long time this summer. The vet thought that it might be a heat stroke, but it might be have something else. He could not eat or drink, and there was not much they could do. This is Hugo's, a 20 years old chinchillas, eat hate and non-sugar palate. And Johanna said that little man is very picky with snacks. They stay away from salt and sugars, only unsalted crackers and wheat germs or tricks from pet stores. He died as fell asleep and stopped breathing, passed away calm and quiet. Cheers, 23 years old, and Fossey, 20 years old. Anya adopted when they were 1 year old and 12 years old. She got the wrong information on feeding them back in the day, unlike nowadays that she can easily get information on social media. They eat non-sugar pellets and hate. Also feed them raisins as the former owner did, even some fresh grass. At around 13 years old, Anya learned that sugars was not so good when they got older. She has reduced to only one and only occasionally still have some fresh green during the summer as treats. Sheila died at home and Forsey was put to sleep in hospital. Another case is my own case. I got my first chinchillas 20 years ago, just like many people purchase from a pet shops. I lacked information knowledge about them. I listened to pet store salespeople's advice. Raisins and nuts are chinchilla favorites and are okay to feed. So I did feed them raisins and lived up to 12 years old. Still, now I choose to avoid all carbohydrate treats. There are few strong reasons behind it. I will break them down. In the last episodes, we already have analyzing several famous chinchilla pellets that contain clean molasses. Many articles on the internet explains a couple of vitamins in molasses and how natural it is and suitable for some animals. But are these animals including our furballs? For example, Dr. Donnelly said that limited treats such as grains, dry apples, raisins, figs, hazelnuts, and sunflower seeds to not more than 1 teaspoon per day. Dr. Richardson said that raisins are popular, but no more than 2 should be given daily. But this study did not calculate the sugar pellets within our furballs and the total carbohydrates. According to Oswald, the clean molasses add to only about 0.5 to 1.5 grams of sugars per half cup of pellet food. The same amount of sugars in 3 or 4 grams, roughly 1 teaspoon of sugars like apples or carrot. And how much carbohydrates of each raisin? Over 60% sugars and almost 80% carbs, barely any nutrition. Suppose you feed your chin's pellets equal to 1 teaspoon of sugars of fruit and add more other sugar treats such as raisins. How do you know that carbohydrates intake for them would not be exist for their total diet? We need to understand that some studies only focus one thing at a time for our furballs diets. They only calculate the total nutrition, but the scientists will not analyze the pellets for us. They also won't tell you how many minerals or vitamins of different types of herbs will be balanced or not. It is our responsibility to check out everything for our babies. Take dandelion for example. Many articles wrote that they are suitable for chinchillas, and you think herbs are pretty safe, right? But those articles did not say that they have a diuretic effect, aka water pills. Give too much to your furballs might cause diarrhea. Do I give my furballs? Yes, it is their most giant favorite candies, but I only give either a leaf or a root twice a week as a big reward, such as after grooming or they go back to the cage after playtime. Associate that is a special treat, so they know not getting it all the time. And why do I do that? We'll explain that later. I just want to point out that if you feed your chin sugary treats, you need to know if it is too much or too little. Combined with that pellet, hay, and everything else, would that be balanced still? Take these old age chinchillas and nowadays these show champion chinchillas for examples. I don't think you have to be an Einstein to see the difference. These old-age chinchillas have a bigger ears, less dense fur, and are less fatty. They probably use less energy to regulate their body temperatures. They don't overheat so quickly. Remember the first and second episode how easily Bandit got overheated? With a smaller ear, dense fur, and a fatty body, it takes more energy to regulate his body temperature, same as these champion chinchillas here. So, when we have a different body size and quality of the chinchillas, their energy and nutrition need would be much different. So all in all, if you feed them a sugary treat, you are basically taking a week to break their balanced diet because you don't know if you fed too much or too little. Not to mention sugar have a higher chance to get stuck in the intestine, which you won't be able to see. The whole diet just makes it super complex. It's that nutrition's not complex enough already. So I really don't see the purpose of feeding our furballs carbohydrate treats. That's why I really like Dr. Farmer's study. 15 years ago, she already said an occasional feeding of a few raisins as treats will not hurt, but usually too many given. Seriously, I see tons of people posting photos giving a lot of junk food feeding to their little friends. Later on, you will see them they have taken some medicine and bring it to the animal hospital because they have too much gas. But hey, what about breeders? Well, I personally don't know many breeders to give for sugar treats, maybe a few individuals. Still, they do know the consequence and are really strict with once or twice a week. And from what I have seen, some breeders might still keep these carbohydrate treats traditions, mainly because there was probably not many pure herb selections on the market back in the day, and likely they do know the consequence of what could damage their furballs. Really strict to a minimum amount. Although a minimum amount occasionally is not hurt, still not a very good role model for us to follow. The people who told you that they have 12 years old chinchillas that can eat candies with no repercussions have no scientific proof because they didn't bring their furballs to do a blood test or urine test unless they get really sick. They also don't know how their digestive system looks like since no one will bring the animals to do a necropsy when they die. However, scientific studies have shown that most of sick dead chinchillas found that their cecum have been packed with lumps of half-digested food after a necropsy, just like the photo you saw earlier. As a result, the flora of a digestive tract become unbalanced. Usually the onset of this disease can be so slow and hidden that the owners do not become aware. It means that if you fed your furballs carbohydrate treats, even just a small amount in the long run would definitely wreck their digestive system, as their body are not built for taking this food, and that you might not notice until they are really 6 or grow old. That's it. If you feed sugary treats, you won't know if they were healthy or not unless you do a urine test for them regularly. You can do a urine test at home, by the way. I will put a link below. And then another reason is unwanted behaviors. I remember my old chinchillas got raisins, and after a while I read on the forum that people say not so good, so I started wanting to changing other treats instead. He didn't want it and just floated away. After that, and he didn't eat his food until I gave him raisins again. From that on, I have learned that and other things. They have a tempers and can manipulate us to get what they want by starving themselves. I regret that I have fed him raisins, because if I never let him taste it, he would never know and would not have such a behavior. I don't want to create picky food behavior and frustrations for my baby. That's why I only give the dandelion once a week, because I realize they have remarkable memory and follow the routines. If you feed them sugary treats, by the time you want to change, and they will be doing all kinds of bad behaviors. Notice at the end his videos, Gabe also said that he only using rose oat and no dried fruit or raisins.
Now, for what I use, I personally don't offer any dried fruit. I don't offer any green vegetables. But what I use is rolled oats. And
even though I used to have an old chinchillas who ate raisins, I would still educate new chinchillas owners not to feed sugary treats. First, it's complex to explain the details, and many people just want to know A or B answers. I'm not so sure I have the time to explain the same questions over and over either. Most of these raisins fruit arguments are not constructive. Some people don't know what damage can do to our little friends. or some people have the knowledge but can't express it accurately. It's just a pointless argument and you don't learn anything. Especially when you bump into someone who just say stuff like, I don't believe this or that. Well, you can believe whatever you want. You can even believe the earth is flat. Still, I would take science study any time of the day. I hope these videos can help you understand that the cause and effect of all these sugary treats and why it's not suitable for our little friend. And not just read some comments here and there or listen to someone individual's view and say what raisins and nuts can no problem and still live the X amounts of year. Like these such as videos here. That's big no. So we want a calm and sweet and healthy animal like this, but not an unhealthy and nightmare animal like this and go crazy when you don't feed them sugary treats. Right, that's all for today's, and the next few episodes we will talk about the dental problem for our furballs. Yeah, death sentence. So just stay tuned and I see you guys next time. Bye.